We're going to ask the president of Wittenberg to come on here, Dr. Frandsen. Doctor, thank you very, very much for joining us. You have a beautiful, lovely campus and with great students and faculty, and we want to just kind of find out how things are going for you and what you're seeing and how you're dealing with everything.
Well, thank you very much, Governor, for giving me a chance to share our story. As the governor indicated, our dashboard is available at our website, wittenberg.edu/together is where our COVID information is. And together is really the description of how we've approached this as a community, how we plan to bring students back to campus, and the fact that we've just had great cooperation in Springfield from the Clark County Combined Health District and Mercy Hospital both. We saw our case numbers increase from 2, one of which was resolved last Monday, to 22. And we're doing our own contact tracing. We're finding that because of our tight-knit community, our staff who are doing the contact tracing can quickly make connections and get students to talk to them because they're comfortable and familiar. And we have a daily meeting with our combined health district and the physicians that have been advising us. And one of the things that really worried the health district in particular was they were finding from our reporting close contacts of 10 to 15 per case, whereas typically they find 2 to 3 close contacts per case. So, concerned about that. We had been doing symptomatic testing, and we're only able to start doing any asymptomatic testing middle of last week with Mercy. And to get a handle on how our community was really doing, we wanted to pause the in-person instruction and have an opportunity to test a larger swath of our community so we could really get a better picture. And fortunately, with help from the local health district, your office, Governor, we had a testing event on campus yesterday, and hopefully by the end of the week, we're going to have a better sense of where we really are.
Well, it's interesting, Mr. President, that you're doing your own tracing. That sounds like it's working pretty well. And also interesting, I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about the contacts, because and maybe explain how that tracing is done so that anybody who's watching this doesn't maybe understand the contacts. But, it is interesting. It's a pretty high number of contacts per student. So if you can kind of run through that a little bit. Sure.
So our contact tracing is being done by our staff. Our athletic trainers in particular have really stepped up to be involved in that. Their workload's a little quieter right now because we don't have intercollegiate athletics going on, and we have a lot of athletes who they know. And so we've activated them, gotten them trained to do that contact tracing, and they're very busy. And what we're finding with the contacts they're reaching out to, again, it's social circles, as the governor said. It's not spread that's happening in the classroom. It's not spread that's happening in the dining hall. It's really the residence units and social gatherings that are driving our challenges. We have about 60 houses adjacent to campus that anywhere from 3 to 5 students live in. And so we're fortunate in that, we aren't seeing spread in our dormitories. We're seeing the spread in those residential housing units, neighbors to neighbors, block to block, but not so much in our residence halls. So, we've been able to quarantine people on a smaller scale than we might if it were in our dorms. And what's the plans going forward, Doctor? You've kind of paused. You're going remote at this point, I think you said. Right. So we're in a 2-week pause with in-person instruction. We asked students to stay on campus, as advised by your office and Dr. Fauci. I wish I could say all of them did. Some of them went home, but the majority of them are here with us. We're continuing to offer support services to students. we've got great support from the local health district in terms of taking care of our cases, and we're up to 76 active cases as of today. Taking care of those students who are in quarantine, making sure they get meals, making sure we're checking up on them. And, again, the test results from this broader testing are really going to help us see if the work we were doing had captured the majority of activity on our campus, then great. But if the tests show that even with those efforts, we were missing a lot of what was going on campus, we'll have to rethink just how long we pause the in-person instruction.
We had one of your students on a Skype yesterday, Chancellor Gardner and I did, and we had students from actually all over the state. And one of the students made a kind of interesting point. The student said, what's important is that there still be stuff to do on campus, because if the university is not sponsoring things to do on campus that is in fact safe, the student's perspective was people will go off and do their own thing. So that's you got a tough balance there. You want to keep the social distancing, keep people wearing masks, but it was interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, and I don't know if you have any reaction to that or not, but I found it to be an interesting comment.
Yep, and we recognize that from last spring, that engagement was going to be really important. And last spring, as we went to all remote instruction, staying engaged with our students virtually and otherwise, keeping faculty and staff engaged. And as we brought students back to campus this fall, having opportunities for them to engage that were structured and safe was really important to us. And we've had a couple of cornhole tournaments, which are a good way to get people together, but keep them distanced. We've had some car races. We brought in a company that did car races on the main quad on our campus, and we've tried to do what we can to create structured activities, safe activities. We also have had a bunch of pick up and take home craft projects that seem to be a hit with students. And we've just this week had a pick up and take home cooking project. Our students who are in those houses have their own kitchens. And so, we're doing what we can. We can't do that 24/7. We have to rely on the students to mask up. What we say at Wittenberg is stay a tiger apart. Tiger's a little bit bigger than 6 feet, so we ask him to stay a tiger apart, and practice good hygiene and really limit gatherings. And what we're hearing from the health district is the distancing and masking and duration of whatever contact they have are just so important. And I think we're going to redouble the efforts to make sure students understand that. I think they've learned a lot about how important that is just from our experience over the last 10 days.
Dr. Frandsen, thank you, and good luck to you and students at Wittenberg and the faculty and all your team. And I've said this before, but when you see a university or college that is reporting cases, it really means that they're doing something right. They're on it. They're trying to do the tracing. They're doing the testing, and they're doing what they need to do. And the same is true. I had the opportunity to talk to the superintendent in Lima yesterday, and K through 12. And, it's just good to talk to some of the superintendents because, they're on it. And, as Dr. Frandsen said, what I think we're finding both in K through 12 and in our colleges is that the classroom, while there certainly can always be spread, we're not saying there can't be, but that's usually a pretty safe place. And what we're seeing is either spread out into the community or in the case with college students, them doing something, it's not in the dorm, it's not in the class. But so those are things that we have to be concerned about. Again, Doctor, thank you. We appreciate it very much.
Appreciate your leadership on this. Appreciate Chancellor Gardner's support for all of the higher ed institutions in the state.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Doctor.